All right, guys, so we've talked a lot about how to learn things, but let's talk about how we know that you've learned things in class and how you know this information. Let's talk about some of the formats for testing. When you go to our class, you take a test in several different ways. We may have you do Edmodo, which is a little less common for me. Mrs. Wachowski uses it quite a bit, and I do a lot of my pre-tests this way. So you may find a test on Edmodo that you'll take. The other format is paper and pencil, which is traditional. You're used to this. No surprises there. And the other one is a student choice. Now this one's a little different. If you don't like the test that we give, we are more than open to you offering an idea of how you can prove what you've learned. It could be a model, it could be a paper,
Video.
whatever. We're totally okay with this. The only thing is you need to check with us first and make sure we're okay with it, because it has to be able to prove what we're looking for, okay? You may be just off doing some project that wastes your time and we won't accept it, and I don't want you to have to go through that. So check with us first before you go that far. The next thing I want to talk about is parts of the assessment.
Okay, so once you've decided what format for testing you want to use, now we're going to talk about what different types or parts of the assessment process you're going to see. So the first one is a pretest. So like Mr. Diamond mentioned, sometimes you'll see this on Edmodo or it'll be paper pencil. And we don't expect you to have a lot of background knowledge on the content that you're going to be learning. The pretest is number one, just for you to see what's going to be on the unit and kind of get a preview of what you're going to see for the final assessment. We give these back so that while you're working through the unit, you can use them to kind of as a study guide for when you're ready to take the final assessment. So they don't affect your grade, they're just more for you to see what's going to be on the unit. Then within each unit, we have quizzes and also the checks for understanding that you've seen within the videos. And so quizzes are usually short, just on smaller parts of the content. And then, of course, the last one is the overall unit assessment, and this is kind of where more of that student choice comes in, if you want to choose that option.
Or just use our test. That's fine, too. We're
Yep.
totally okay with that. The other thing is grading. Now, this is the part that most people are really interested in. What's my grade? I know it's a part that parents are really interested in usually. And frankly, most teachers are really wrapped up in, but we don't get as wrapped up in this. We use standards-based grading. What that is we base your grade on how much you learn on the standard that the state says that you have to know. So a lot of times you'll be working through the unit, and that is all leading up to your final assessment, which will gain your understanding, or how we'll measure your understanding. And with that, you should know that 70% of your grade in our classes is determined by your assessments. And those are focused on the standards that you have. 25% is the stuff that you do to learn that information. That doesn't mean you skip it because it's less valuable. It's just as valuable because it helps you learn what you need to know in the assessment. And the 5% is actually a self-evaluation that you do at the end of our classes. You're going to evaluate on how well I worked. How well did I do? What do you think I did? And then we're going to balance what we understand about what you've done in class. And 5% of your grade is graded on that.
So we'll be talking about that together at the end of the semester.
Yep. All right. What if you don't like your test score?
Okay, well, there is a retake process for this, because your test, the grade that you get from your test does not have to be the final grade for that unit. As long as you can demonstrate mastery, that's all we care about. But there's a process that you need to go through in order to retake an assessment if you want. And so the first thing you'll need to do is list which assessment you're making up and the reason that you can give for needing to make up this assignment. Do not just put, I didn't understand the material, because obviously that's the case. But why didn't you understand the material? And be honest with yourself. This is a good self-reflection. Did you not, review your notes? Did you work too quickly through the material? Did you skip some of the required activities? Be specific and be honest about why you need to retake it. This way, we're trying to prevent you from having to do this in the future.
And believe it or not, guys, we usually know why you don't know. Believe it or not.
Yeah. So in addition to taking the assessment, you're also going to need to do a couple of other things to review the material. So for my class, you have to correct your test or quiz, but you also have to do some additional activities in order to study to retake the assessment. Now this is extra work, but this is the process in order to earn the opportunity to retake the assessment. There's several choices listed here, but you could come up with something else on your own as well. And then it just needs to be approved by us before you move on to whatever this activity is in order to retake the assessment.
Okay, and keep in mind, guys, when you retake a test, you get the full credit of that score back. Okay, we don't cut you because you had to retake it. We don't look at it like that. We look at it as you went back, you relearned, you still learned. It's silly for me to take points away from you because you've learned it. Just because you had to do it again doesn't mean anything. I've done things twice.
Yeah.
That's how this works.
Yeah.
Okay? We're not going to penalize you for learning. That seems silly to us, so we won't do that.
Yeah. And this is just extra work because we want to make sure that you're studying and learning the material again. But yeah, it's not a punishment, and it's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about if you have to retake a test. I mean, that's just part of the learning process.
It's just how it works, guys, and that's where we're at. And we know that we're different in that respect from most teachers because we allow you to do that and we give you that full credit. So it's okay.
And take advantage of it, please.
All right, so checks for understanding for this video. What I want you to do, I want you to explain the process. If you're unhappy about your grade, what do you do to make this happen? How do you retake this test? The other thing I want you to do is how is your grade calculated in our classroom? How do we put that score together? What's your final grade? That way you always know where you stand with us. Okay,
All right.
We'll talk to you later.